Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. I hope you all had a great weekend. And I just thought I'd go live tonight because, man, there's some weird stuff going on. And uh, I just thought we ought to talk about some of it. I can tell you, Halloween's coming. This is another October that's coming and going. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen between now and the end of October? We were told by Devin Nunes and was it Greg Jarrett? Somebody put the word out there that by a certain time, Biden was going to be having some big troubles. So we're going to see. And Mr. T has been putting out some warnings in no uncertain terms. I mean, anybody that's going to act surprised about the hammer that's going to drop has been living under a rock. And I'm sure he's going to get even more vociferous as time goes on. Hi, Diane. How you doing? Quilt. Hilarious. Nice to see you. Nikki, how you doing? Rubber Toe. Jamie. Hi, Mary. B-Dog. We got two Marys tonight. Hi, Mary. Hi, Mary Freeland. Doc, how you doing? Henri, thumbs up. Yay. You think about it, folks. Dip on out and give me a thumbs up and come on back in. We'll wait for you. Hi, Pappy. How you doing? Pappy Two Bears. So, climate change struck again and got a Hollywood star, a friend of a friend. You know, what was his name? Matthew. What was his name? I never cared for that show from the day it came out. You know, I'll tell you a quick story about that show. When I decided I was never going to watch it, show you what an old coot I am. Of course, the show comes out and everybody likes it. My girlfriend and her sisters liked it. Everybody liked it. Such a great show. I sat there and watched one program. And yeah, Matthew Perry. Thank you, Diane. So, as a matter of fact, Matthew Perry was in this storyline of the show. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. No, he wasn't the father, but the other one, the guy kind of a big nose. I don't know his name, but him and his girlfriend or his wife or whatever are having a baby, right? Well, it turns out his significant other, who's having his child, took up with another woman. And that, I mean, when did Friends start? I can't even remember the year, but I can remember him going, I don't know, you know, I'm just upset about this. I don't know. And they're saying, well, what's your problem? What's wrong? While the two women are going to raise his kid, and he's the odd man out, you know? And he goes, I don't know if I can be part of this family. And the two women are sitting on the couch. And so they're first time I can remember where a mainstream comedy show introduced this concept of a family with that kind of a status. I'll put it that way. I said, what are you talking about? You know, that's not any kind of show I want to watch. So I don't know if you all remember that or not. But one of the stars at the very beginning, hi, Jason, how you doing? Hi, Doug. At the very beginning when the show started, hi, David. Camperman, everybody's rolling in. Awaken Trillium, Sissy, at the very start of the first season, that was the theme, that there was going to be a kid born with an estranged father, and the mother was taken up with another woman. And that was somehow a comedy show based around that. That's real funny, ain't it? And well, we've gone from that to people transitioning, I guess. So, it's spinning out of control. Hi, Richard. That's right. Why they call it programming. What is coming before Halloween? I don't know. Devin Nunez, I think I got a couple of posts from him I'm going to go over. He said there was something going to happen. He said about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He said something's going to happen between now and Halloween. And then another insider said that there was going to be some kind of communication tapes. Guy Fawkes, oh boy. Yeah, people, you ever get a chance to look that one up? He cheated the executioner, did he, B-Dog? But anyway, that some kind of tape or video was going to come out that was going to be devastating to the Biden administration. Thank you, Nikki. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you. Hillary's still getting arrested tomorrow. Jamie asks. That's the first I've heard of it. I've been hearing she's getting arrested, for 30 years. I've been hearing that. Speaking of that, I watched a show on Hillary Dillery Do and Bill Clinton. Boy, I'm telling you, I think back at especially the last 3 or 4 years, and really revved into high gear with the 2020 situation. But even before that, most everybody, I'm sure, in the chats were awake back during the Clinton administration. Couldn't believe what we were seeing. Couldn't believe what they were getting away with. And we're thinking, certainly something's got to happen. We can't be a successful country with this kind of crap going on. But some of it ties into today, where you look and you see the strategies being followed by Mr. T and the good people, how they learn their lessons. And I'll give you an example. Rudy Giuliani, I said, I was talking about him the other day, and I said, he barely posts on Truth Social. You barely see anything out of him. And I'm thinking he's a sleeper. He's a sleeper. He's too big of a heavy hitter, and that they were going to clear the board, is the terms I use, by getting Jenna Ellis out of the picture, Sidney Powell out of the picture, on down the line. We got 4 or 5 of them just taken off the board last week and the week before. And about 4 days ago, Giuliani posts a picture of him and Bernard Kerik, former police chief, New York City. Talks about an event they're going to be at. I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And I remember, yeah, Bernie Kerik's a sleeper. He's another one. I've talked in the past about dark horses. You got the term dark horse. That's one you don't see that just pops out and ends up being the winner. And that was the case with Mike Johnson. And we got more than one dark horse in this business of what's going to happen with these trials, what's going to happen when retribution comes. And it's coming. In my title, I had promises always kept. Well, did you listen to Trump today? A gallon for every drop. Don't put the word in without using zeros. And the word is BL00D, right? a gallon for every drop. And again, he reiterated multiple times and again today. All you resident aliens that are protesting for jihad this month, 2025, you're getting deported. Making a list, checking it twice. What's the other thing he said? Somebody shouted out of the crowd about election security. I'll put it that way. And he said, we've got the best teams looking at the situation. And we're not going to let them do it again. But we got to show up. We got to show up with a quiet fury, with purpose. Okay? I said the first time he ran, I said, I don't care if I got to crawl through broken glass. I'm going to vote for him. That was in 2016. 2020, same thing. And it's going to be the same thing 2024, God willing, if I'm around. After what happened to Matthew Perry, who knows? But sure enough, Cat Turd reposted Matthew Perry's tweet where he had his shirt on that said something like, how much more, I'll say, poked up can I get? You know, sign up for yours today. So he was definitely on the bandwagon with something that they do to your shoulder. And the pictures I saw of him, I watched a number of videos about when it happened to him, you know, reports. And they put up, you know, recent pictures. He looked like hell. You know, he may have been, as many of them in Hollywood do, abusing substances or whatever. But he just had a general grayish pallor. I don't know if you could say combination of depression and substance abuse or whatever. I don't know, but you could tell any doctor looking at him could say, hey, you know, you need to check up, buddy. Hi, Finding Dory. How are you doing? Phil, how are you doing? Matthew was ready to spill the beans. Sissy says, well, hilarious. Miss those TV years. Well, that's the story. That's the story. Well, I've been on Bumble, Phil. I was in exile, and I thank Lone Wolf. I was there for 2 weeks. Lone Wolf went to the coffee shop for me. I appreciate it. Now that I'm back here on YouTube, I got to be very careful. I'm going to do another place to run. I'll put it that way. My last show, Pappy Two Bears, Camperman, and Mary Freeland helped me out. I want to get that in the mix. Make sure everybody gets thanked for that. I appreciate it very much. I've got stuff written down, subjects. I don't have anything like a script, but I got subjects I want to talk about. And one of them is what I think is crazy happening at Bumble. And some things don't make sense. And that's making me think that something is going to get ready to pop off. When things don't make sense, and with Bumble, that's one of the things that don't make sense right now. I'll get into that in a second. But I'm going to stick with it. I forward my videos to be automatically uploaded after I'm done here. I'm going to do an alternative, okay? And I will give you all the name and here on Utizzle, because you know a lot of my viewers are here, and we don't give up the field. Okay. That's what one of the things General Flynn said. We don't give up the battlefield. And it's hard. It's hard to be able to talk in a way that doesn't get you in trouble, but still get the point across. But another thing Rudy Giuliani put out that I thought was kind of weird. It falls into my doesn't make sense and makes me think something's going to pop off. After all this silence, what does Giuliani put out? An article from the New York Post. It was his last post on Truth Social. Speaking of last posts, how about Matthew Perry? His last Instagram post was him in a hot tub. A week later, he's corked off in the same hot tub. So the first reports were that he drowned. And then immediately after that reports were cardiac arrest. So I don't think we'll know the true story behind that. Was it drowning or cardiac arrest? Because if he suffered a debilitating stroke and you can't support yourself and you slip underwater and you can't move your arms or legs or whatever, that's a drowning. And if you've ever seen someone have a stroke, they can't move. You know how you sit in a hot tub, you can just slide underwater real easy. Some way, somehow you're supporting yourself above water with subconscious muscle memory or just the ability to sit up straight. You're exercising and using muscles you don't even know you're incorporating, because you make your body lean right, you make your body lean left, you put your head in your hand, you do your body's always doing something to support you. You have a stroke and that ability goes, you have no way to support yourself, you slip underwater. So anyway, but which was the one that had the back of his head knocked in, I don't know. If what Sissy was saying is true, I could see somebody coming up behind him and saying, "For whop," who knows? Somebody yelling "for," like what's his face that got it? The other comedian. Like Barry's cook, Phil says. I don't get it. Yeah, that's right, Henri. Hot tubs can cause strokes and heart attacks. Yeah, that's true. People don't even realize it. They say you're not supposed to stay in there more than like 10 minutes. So, yeah, well, he's been in there for a while. But anyway, so this is the cryptic, what I felt was weird, Rudy Giuliani put out. An article from the New York Post. Trump and Giuliani never fell for Sidney Powell's 2020 election, quote, kraken, but the left sure did. Sidney Powell, the one-time Trump advisor who famously failed to, quote, release the kraken that would overturn the 2020 election, has flipped. And that's what Rudy Giuliani posted last night about midnight. Let me just, Big Mike's cook. Yeah. Big Mike's cook. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things about people checking out. That's for sure. I mean, we all went to the grocery store and you'd stand in line, and there would be Inquirer magazine, a Globe magazine, all these magazines with the latest news about stars. You never saw stuff like this. What's happening? Just like what I'm talking about when the nation was shocked over a young athlete named Lynn Bias passing away. When crack cocaine first came out on the scene, somebody that young having a heart attack, and it was made national news. Now every foggy day, it's happening to young people all around the country. Now every foggy day, there's some star who's relatively young corking off. We never had that. Hi, Karen. How are you? Outlandish. How are you doing? That's right, Jason. That's what I'm thinking. You put all that together, sitting in the hot tub, you look like you've been hit in the face with a frying pan walking around all day. That's what he looked like. He looked rough, didn't shave. He looked unhealthy. Then you get yourself all smoked up or drunked up, and you've already had who knows how many insertions in your shoulder, and then you get in a hot tub and lose track of time. You're asking for it. You see funerals every day in New York, Annette says. Yeah. Yeah, well, New York's a big city. Well, it's getting smaller though. That's the other thing Rudy Giuliani posted. He put up New Yorkers. This was 3 days ago. New Yorkers are leaving the state in droves. 545,000 people left in 2022. And that was a topic of one of his shows. I didn't bring it up because, it didn't seem like the Sidney Powell post. That's the one that I think is interesting. And it so happened that I was watching this video about Hillary just before Rudy put that post up about Sidney Powell. And it was a recap of all her dirty deeds, and not all of them by far. But it was a famous story that not a lot of people remember or were even around for, about the White House travel office. Do you all remember a guy named Billy Dale? He was in charge of the White House travel office for 7 presidents since JFK. Well, he started getting some weird phone calls when the Clintons came into office about, hey, do you ever think about making money off of some of these charter bookings and stuff like that? And he said, no, this isn't for profit. There isn't any mechanism for stuff like that. Well, Bill Clinton gets his cousin, I forget her name, to go in there to work at the travel office. And these people, Hollywood elites, we haven't heard much out of, but I think we're going to hear. And many of you will remember these names from the past. Harry and Linda Bloodworth Thomas. You all remember that? Harry and Linda Bloodworth Thomas. They wanted to take over the White House travel office. And they're big in Hollywood, right up there with Harvey Weinstein. Well, this guy, that I told you about, Billy Dale, he didn't think anything of, he didn't think they were trying to give him a hint, a wink, wink hint, He just said, no, we don't, there isn't any business to be made here. This is not a business. It's a function of the government. But I appreciate y'all, creativity or however he got out of it. Next thing you know, him and 6 other people in the travel office are fired, most of whom who had been there for decades. He gets charged with, they said there's $14,000 in expenses somewhere during that 30-year period that they couldn't find the paperwork for. And they accused him of some kind of crime. Well, I was going to put in the title of the video, "The Grown Man Crying," because what happened to him was he ended up having the FBI down on him like a ton of bricks. He ended up having to go to court. They offered him a plea deal where he would do like 10 months in jail, something peanutty, or if you don't take the plea deal, you can go away for 20 years. And this, when he broke down crying, he was talking about, and this was years afterwards, he still breaks down crying over it. And he had to recover himself to tell the story. He said, I was looking at $750,000 in legal fees. I was having to sell my home. They offered me that plea deal. You could tell they were breaking him. He wasn't in the news. Nobody knew or cared what he was going through. He sat down with his family and said, should I take the deal? I don't want to, but he said, I don't want my wife to lose everything she's worked for with me. I could salvage something. But this was 30 years ago. They're out of $750,000. His wife and his daughter said, you stand for what's right. We're with you no matter what. And he was waiting for the jury to come out, and he overheard his daughter. This is where he broke down crying. He overheard his daughter telling his mother, if my government does this to my father, I can't see myself living in this country. Well, thank God the jury found him innocent. But what a story. He risked it all. He risked, you might as well say, the rest of his life in jail. He lost all of his savings. His family stood for what was right. But my point is, with Sidney Powell and these 4 or 5 other people that they're clearing the board, Trump was asked, what do you think about them? Because it was portrayed that they were flipping on Trump or copping out or whatever. Trump said, who knows why people do what they do? Well, Trump knew, because he said years before, people on my staff in my administration came to Washington, D.C., bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, excited for the future, and got completely destroyed. Remember him saying that? He said, good people, half a dozen to a dozen, whose lives were ruined over what these people are trying to do to me. And folks, by proxy, what they're doing to us. So this guy, Billy Dale, why have the people I just mentioned, including Sidney Powell, turn into Billy Dales. When what they agreed to were misdemeanors, and after their BS probationary period, the records are expunged like it never even happened. What fool wouldn't take that versus spending money you don't have or money you earned that you'll never get back, ruin your life financially on principle? That's what they did to General Flynn. That's what they did to Billy Dale. Why have it happen to these four people when it's not necessary? So I saw where some people were saying they wanted refunds from a GoFundMe set up for Jenna Ellis and all this stuff. You know, some people need to think strategically. And I find you think strategically and logically when you're not on a flipping high horse. So some people want to go full bore, take no prisoners, talk about a gallon for a drop way too soon. The time for a gallon for a drop will come. But there is a time when you fight fire with fire, you'll burn down the house. There's a time to fight fire with fire. So that's why we saw what we saw with these plea deals that are, according to the media, something important, but to a rational observer who watches Robert Kavoya or listens to me or can read the actual agreement and say, this is what Trump actually says, the word BS, but he says the whole thing. If I had my videotape, I might play it. So we're saving those people and their families, this misery. And I think they've GoFundMe for Jen Ellis raised like $206,000 or $10,000. That money's already spent. If nothing else, for lost income where she hadn't been able to function since they charged her with felonies. So, just you learn from the past. And after I watched that guy break down, telling his story and realizing nobody paid him back. He didn't get to go to court and say, hey, can I get restored? I mean, can I have a refund? No. And how about the months and months of fear and misery, your household, your dinner table, the distress, the worry? Why am I bringing that up? Because I keep remembering nobody walks away from this. Nobody. Not just Billy Dale, everybody else that got that kind of treatment. Everybody else that Trump pointed out way before all this stuff started. He was talking about people who were singled out and had their lives destroyed. That picture, that Chuck Schumer next to that clerk of the court, that was Chuck Schumer trolling Trump. It wasn't Trump trolling Chuck Schumer and the clerk. When did you ever see Chuck Schumer stand next to somebody with that evil smile? He was letting Trump know. Chuck Schumer's a New York senator. This clerk is in that New York courtroom with that New York judge, who, by the way, I think has been given his last warning. Trump said today he needs to be removed from the bench. He was given opportunities, if you all will remember. Trump said, first he said the clerk was yelling stuff in his ear and steering him the wrong way, giving him a trap door to get out of it. Then he said the judge was petrified of Letitia James. Then he had the real estate professional say, we just feel that the judge didn't have a good grasp of the real estate profession as a whole. You know, it was something where he could say, oh, you know, you're right. This isn't my bailiwick. He's thrown every opportunity in the trash. Not only that, but he's even had the temerity, and look that word up, because Barack Obama wrote his book called The Audacity of Hope. It's more like temerity. And that's what these guys are ate up with. Oh, Bush throwing the ball out. Could be a black swan. I don't know. Something, you know, we've always heard about October, and it's coming and going. But this particular time, we got two ideas that there was going to be big trouble before the end of October for the Biden administration. So, hey, it could have been just what could be the other purpose of Rudy Giuliani's point, what he put out about Sidney Powell. Trump and Giuliani never fell for Sidney Powell's kraken, but the left sure did. In other words, that might have been out there. You do a feint. You get them to think you're getting ready to do something so you can see who talks to who, what they say to each other, and what moves they make if they think they're under threat. And another thing Trump mentions a number of times is misinformation and disinformation. He said there's very little difference between the two, but someday I'll explain it to you. Just looking at the chats, folks. I'm still here. Yeah, Ghislaine's supposed to release 8 big names. Well, General Flynn came out and said, yeah, misspell the names. Nikki, you're right there. Putting a warning out. Misspell names that are gonna. We got to start thinking like the black hats. And you know, they don't want us talking about certain things. We got to misspell it. That's why I mispronounce stuff sometimes. Yeah, there'll be expunged from his record. Oh, Chucky Boy will be on the list. November 5th? I don't know. Henri said God's time. That's right. But it's like Mr. T said, you never know. You'd never let them know what you're going to do, right? But you can fake them out. You can scare them. And that might have been what Rudy Giuliani was putting that up there. Now that Sidney Powell's in the clear, now that she's in the clear, Rudy Giuliani puts that post up saying, you all fell for it. The left fell for the Kraken business. So they might have got some good intelligence off of that business. But anyway, Mike Flynn blatantly states on an interview, that some of our legislators are compromised by globalist actors due to their trips overseas where they, quote, sleep with little ones. I'll say little ones. Okay. DC politicians are on the client list. So that's what General Flynn said. And people got mad at him 2 times. The most recent one, where he was on X22. And he got loud with Dave on X22, and he said, you know, there isn't going to be this military thing coming and accuse a psyop and all this kind of stuff. Well, he's not saying anything wrong. He wants to embed it in people's heads that they've got to take their vote seriously. They got to take their voice seriously. They got to stay on the digital battlefield. We have to fire the meme cannons. We have to communicate with one another, and we have to be focused, and we have to be realistic. Because the first time I got mad at him, somebody said, well, is the military going to step in and do this and that? He said, no. She said, do you think the military should step in? And he said, no, I don't. And people, boo, 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 and drowned him out. He was saying, because I don't think it's needed. He was trying to explain. You have a total breakdown of civil society and military rule. This was 3 years ago. So he's trying to let people know that they know the dirt on all of them. And that to be realistic, we've got to help expose it and let people know that their vote is precious, especially now. It's always been precious, but especially now, because Trump said over and over, and he said it again today, we're not going to have a country. Basically, that life is going to be hell on earth if we don't rise up and take our government back. Swamp the swamp. But my ears went up when he said, we've got the best teams of people. We can't let them steal it. And the other thing, too, that we're being very effective about. I was thinking about putting on my thumbnail, we won't get fooled again. Now, we weren't fooled the first time, but our friends and family members were fooled. They put their things on their faces like they were supposed to. They went and got poked like they were supposed to. They cussed Trump and talked about how horrible he is because everybody else was on TV. Well, don't get fooled again. And I'll say we, because I don't want to alienate people that I think. I'm not going to say, you dummies, you got fooled. I'm going to say we got fooled, because we are a country together. And yeah, I did get fooled. Maybe not on this specific Fauci ouchie op, but all the little ops leading up to it, and 9/11, the war in Iraq, everybody getting behind Bush, everybody putting up bumper stickers and signs for John McCain. I'm not immune from getting fooled. I got fooled. My lights started cutting on when Romney laid down and died, figuratively speaking, during the debate, after he disclosed that there was an active operation going on in Libya, and then he just dropped the ball during the debate. I said, man, there's something rotten in Denmark. I tell you, just real quick, I read Genesis 19. I was talking about a lot because I'm sitting here saying, well, we got to say we got to stick together, right? We're not going to heal a nation, heal our friendships and family members by pointing at them and going, you got fooled, we were right. Well, it's kind of like what I was talking about a lot. Looking for people to rescue from Sodom and Gomorrah. But I got something wrong. Abraham is the one who negotiated. From 50 is where he started. I couldn't remember. And I think it ended up at 10. He started out at 50. We can find 50 people. Will you save the whole city for the sake of the 50? And then he got down to 10. And God said, yeah, if you can find 10 people, I'll spare the city. So that was Abraham, but Lot did the same thing. He tried to get his future son-in-laws to come with him. He tarried, what you call tarry, because the angels had blinded all the ne'er-do-wells of Sodom, but they still spent the night. And in the morning, the angels pretty much had to grab their hands and pull them out and say, come on, let's go. Because he was trying to talk some sense into people to leave. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because it seems like we have this two approaches to humanity. Do we want to view ourselves as a type to say, yeah, go ahead and wipe the city out? That'd be great. Or do you want to be like Abraham and Lot and say, can we try to save some people? I think that's two distinct positions of the moral compass. Just like when I read that quote from the Hezbollah leader that said the BL00D of his own people, children and women, they crave it because it gives them strength. Whereas Golda Meir said, we can forgive you for what you did to our children, but we can't forgive you for what you're making us do to yours. You see what I'm saying? I hope that makes some sense. But I know it's a small point, but I wanted to clarify that Abraham had actually done the numbers bargaining, but his nephew was Lot. So by a familial upbringing, they had inculcated in their mind the value of human life. And that was another reason why I was so disappointed that I got taken down for 2 weeks, because I showed a video of well, many of you know, I don't want to get in trouble, but, encouraging their kids to put themselves in harm's way or martyr themselves. So Netanyahu and Mr. T both put it down to, this is a battle of good and evil. It doesn't mean it's something inherent in a genealogy. but a worldview. And where do we get our worldview? Our families. What we're taught, what we learn. And so that's the position we have to do, especially when we look at how we're going to heal as a country. There comes a time, there will be a time where we have to say, I'm leaving the city. And I'm not looking back. Remember Lot's wife, look back. And a lot of people talk about, what was the meaning of that? She turned into a pillar of salt because of disobedience. She was just curious to see what was happening. Or was she looking back because she was having pity on the people, or looking to see if somebody was running to catch up? I don't know. But the fact that she was told, don't look back or else, tells me if somebody's too late, that you can't save every fallen robin, and you can try so hard to the point where you destroy yourself. And if that wasn't the reason she was looking back, it was just because she was disobedient. That's a lesson we learned from the garden. The wages of sin are death. So what point are we at? When is it time to leave the city? We're not near there. We're not near that point. We're at the point where we want to look for those people that can be pulled to safety or snap out of it. Hold on, I got a message up here. Angela. All right. Thank you, Angela. I've got a link for Buy Me a Coffee in the description. I appreciate Angela stopping by to buy me a coffee. And let me see. I'm going to put up this banner here. This is everybody that's helped out with the Buy Me a Coffee. And I've got to add. I've got to add Angela. And I got to add Julie and Jax. But I pretty much got everybody else up there. I've got Hilarious, who helped out. Let me see, get back to the comments here. Thank you, Angela. So I got a link in the description. If anybody wants to help me out, appreciate it very much. Pappy Two Bears, Camperman, and Mary helped out Friday. I appreciate it, y'all. Thank you. Anyway, so I'm thinking that this, I won't call it rhetoric, but Mr. T's tone, I'm not going to say it's threatening. It's promising. The mass deportations he's been talking about for over a year. Now he's talking to specific people. He's doing crowd control when he's not even in the Oval Office. Because there's going to be morons that are going to go out there and protest, but anybody with brains in their head that are resident aliens are going to go, uh-oh. I mean, we're talking thousands that are going to think better of it, where they may have normally gone along to get along in a college situation. Yeah, I'll go out and raise hell with you. No, they're going to think twice, and it's going to blunt this stuff that's going on. And the ones that keep doing it, you definitely want out of the country. And that's exactly what Mr. T said. If you're going to be a jihadist, if you're going to talk about wiping out other countries and other peoples, we don't want you here. God will make decision who can be saved. Well, we have to interact with each other. If that was purely the case, hilarious, why did Christ go to 12 apostles and have them spread the word? Why are we being told by General Flynn to be on the digital battlefield? Why was Christ even sent in the first place? So, and I said, well, that concern in their heart by Abraham and Lot for others is probably why they were chosen, rather than people who were lovers of themselves only. Another fascinating story I saw was, have you heard about where Christ killed a tree? I'll just see if the chat's heard that story. And it has to do with our responsibilities. Our responsibilities in this historic biblical battle that's going on in our civilization, this moment in time, over millennia, we have the miracle of being alive at this time. How are we to think? How are we to behave? This now is a time in the hour. Where do we turn for instruction? Richard said a fig tree. Yes. He heard the story. And what happened? He was heading into Nazareth, and he was hungry. And he walked off the path and walked up a hill to a fig tree. He wanted something to eat. The tree was barren, it had no fruit. So he killed it. He killed the tree. It's no good. So what do you take out of that? It was just existing for itself, too far out of the way to reasonably provide shade. There were other trees that were non-fruit bearing trees that they could rest under or not walk off the road. Wasted their time, gave nothing. I used to think, if you don't have kids, you'll be like the fruit tree. You'll get, wiped out because you didn't have kids. In my younger years, I was thinking, but no, you have fruits. Your words and deeds are your fruits. The fruits are your labor. So we don't want to be barren fig trees at this time when humanity needs sustenance, needs our thoughts have the heart of Abraham, the heart of Lot, to try to get people to see, rather than the opposing side says, I enjoy or feed off the well, I'll say blood of others. That doesn't inspire me, but it inspires them. People who have hardened their hearts. You know, in Israel, my father told me a long time ago, it is a state of mind. When Abraham wrestled with God, that's when the term Israel came about. There was a whole lot to go through before they got to the promised land. But Israel was a nation of people that were on the move, even enslaved in in Egypt. But 700 years, the Ottoman Empire, over 700 years, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Jews lived in the area of Palestine in peace for 700 years. Now here we are. Now here we are. Why? Some people say that Israel, they're not to have their country back until the Messiah comes. Since they rejected Jesus, they have to wait until what they think is the Messiah comes, we think is the second coming of Christ. They're not supposed to have a home. So even a lot of Jewish people think that. A lot of Jewish people think that the only reason there's this fight over Israel is because Christians want to hurry up and get to Armageddon and the rapture, that Jews are being used and put into Israel artificially early. There's a whole lot of different notions. But whatever is going on now, how come it was a problem for 700 years prior? Why now? Why now does everybody want to kill everybody? And like Trump says, I just want the death to stop. I want people to stop dying. One thing Trump said that is unequivocal. He said that the people that committed the atrocities on October 7th, I wrote it down. He said that they would burn in the eternal pits of hell. And that's when he followed it up by saying, this is a battle between good and evil. And I cogitated that along with what I was saying about the differences in looking at life and valuing human life. And how I tie that into the word jihad means struggle. My friend who was a Muslim, who had an imam, he had his phone number. He would call his imam or he would go to the mosque for advice. He told me the word jihad means struggle to get people to come to God, not to physically destroy them. So on both sides, all 3, 4, 5, 10, how many sides there are, all the different faiths. You got, are they going to be the kind of people that want to reach out, love one another as I have loved you? Or are they going to be the ones that want to destroy? It's about the people, not the land. That's right, Debbie. But there's an answer there somewhere. So anyway, let me see. Angela. I'm just looking through the chats. That's right, Richard. Look forward to having our hearts filled with joy and laughter and love. God has a sense of humor. Yep. Don Rickles used to say that. And I was talking about how we used to, I mean, life was a lot different when we were kids. Getting a driver's license and getting your first job and making your first few bucks and wondering what new wondrous thing was around the corner. Now I feel sorry for our young people today, where they're challenged, they're criticized. You might as well say, if you got a 9-year-old kid that some teacher is looking at him saying, "Are you sure you're in the right body?" I mean, what a horrible way to treat young people. I mean, they're nothing more innocent than a child, and they should be encouraged and not thrown into a state of dysphoric confusion and fear. Oh, if you flush a toilet too much, then there's going to be no more water left on the earth. Well, I believe in personal choice, and that's the lesson from the garden. They had a choice. You any tree in the garden, any one you want. Don't not this one. And they chose, poorly. But we're supposed to learn from that. And boy, I'll tell you, talk about hardening hearts. Obama came out and had something to say today. Obama criticizes Israel over Gaza. Don't harden Palestinian attitudes for generations. Obama once said Israel should dismantle Hamas, but now has criticized Israel for the way it is dismantling the Palestinian Terror group. Well, don't harden them for generations. How in the hell long does he think this has been going on? At least 70 years. Sneak attacks, rocket attacks, suicide bombers, on and on. Oh, my goodness. I got some kind of notice. I hope you guys can hear me. It says my browser has lost connection. Make sure other apps are you. I don't know. I've never seen this notice before. Can you all hear me? I hope. Huh. That's the first time I ever seen StreamYard put out that notice. But anyway, I never did get to the Bumble stuff I was going to talk about. I'll see if you all heard any of this. I've been listening to some creators on Bumble. Some I've listened to for years. Got kicked off of Utizzle with the Great Purge. And I continue to watch them. But they're saying Bumble has been purchased by that rock that happens to be black. Oh, good. Marla says she can hear me. Richard said 5x5. Henri hears me. Good. But have you all heard that? Oh, okay. 5x5s. Nikki, Angela. But so they're dipping out. I'm not going to get into who they are, but they're trying to leave Bumble, and I'm like, man, I've been trying for months to build followers and get views. A bunch of the videos I've done has gotten 1,000 views, 800, 900 views, compared to a lot less. So I've been working hard at that, and now here they come say that Bumble's been bought by the evil ones. And I was thinking about putting in my title, has a trap been set? Because it doesn't take a lot to notice that Mr. T and Truth Social exclusively uses Bumble, right? And we know Dan Bongino is got a fairly serious investment in Bumble. And Devin Nunes is running Truth Social. But I noticed the other day that Dan Scavino posted 3 videos, little short clips, but they were on Instagram, and I had never seen that before. This was day before yesterday. Did you all notice that? Because I've said, keep an eye on Dan Scavino. He'll sneak stuff in there and you won't even know it, until you cogitate on it. And I thought to myself, why is he putting the Instagram videos up? Then I find out that the rock that is black and that other company bought Bumble, is what I heard through the grapevine. I don't know how true that is. So I say to myself, well, is that a trap for them? That they're trying to absorb Bumble to influence things unlawfully? Because let me tell you something, you screw around with Trump and you're going to have your hands full. And they might have got baited in. Well, these guys are dipping out. I mean, they're going to something called pills.net, which is I'm gonna check it out just because I can do multiple places. I'm not going to leave Bumble. I'm barely established there. But as long as Mr. T is supporting it, as long as Devin Nunes is supporting it, Donald Jr. is supporting it, Dan Bongino is supporting it, I'm going to keep trying to support it. I'm not going to get scared off. But if I did go, I think it's called Foxhole on pills.net, but I think they got it set up there. I have to check into it where you could do like a little call-in deal where people can call in while you're talking. I think that would be neat, especially if you can multi-stream to different places. Get it on much of the battlefield as possible. Bumble, Foxhole, Utizzle. and do, once a week, do like a call-in show. I don't know. That's just a very small mustard seed. Yeah, Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, somebody put in a Bumble comment. They put in a link to a outside platform. They get taken down because I can't do that. But I'm on Bumble on Wall One Word Mountain Man Speaks. So anyway, I'm just thinking. I get them confused. It's black. The rock that is black, and the other company's Vanguard. I'm not even supposed to say that, but they say that's what bought out Bumble. But then I'm thinking, okay, these companies are all tied up with Disney, right? Well, Disney's getting knocked pillar to post. They've taken and delayed that video or whatever it's called, a show they're trying to do for Snow White. They're totally redoing it. And they're putting not actual dwarves, CGI dwarves, but instead of being Snow White and the seven weirdos, it's going to be like it's supposed to be, Snow White and the seven dwarfs. But they have to delay the thing for a year. So I don't know if this is a cleaning of this infiltration we've discussed that is in every facet of our lives. But more importantly, through the entertainment industry, it's been influencing our kids that we don't even have enough time to spend with, that they're the ones that are influencing our children, just what I talked about earlier. Lot and Abraham having a familial connection where their family worldview is to have compassion and value for human life. And where the others did not have respect and fear of the Lord. They weren't raised for that, or they rejected it. What I've said many times, Pope John Paul said, the culture of death. So maybe this is an attempt to reclaim that. And if those two companies come into Rumble and purposefully do things to disrupt this information dissemination operation, somebody's going to be in some big trouble. So I'm not going to throw my hands up and run away from Rumble. I never have been crazy about it, but I have said that might be all we got left, if I keep getting kicked off. But, have many of you heard that foxhole thing? Because I'm going to check that out. So anyway, folks, I've gone quite a while. I know when Trump left in January 20th, 2021, when he went to Florida, a bunch of IP addresses and internet space equal to 1/3 of the existing internets were released by the Department of Defense and put under the controls of servers located in Florida. Keep that in mind, folks. Keep that in mind. So we're going to keep rolling, right? We're going to be like butter. We're going to get on a roll with this whole thing, and we're not going to get despondent. We're going to see where we can help others. We're not going to have a knee-jerk reaction. And when things start turning around the other way, we're not going to have what's called Schadenfreude. I wanted to talk about that one night, and I will in the future. Schadenfreude. That is delight at the notion of another's suffering. We're not going to engage in Schadenfreude. That is a term that came about after World War II or during World War II, where a lot of people in Germany started engaging in this psychological, what we would consider anomaly of deriving joy out of another's suffering. So when the liberals freak out, that's funny in itself. What are you going to do about it? But laugh at it. But we're not going to derive joy out of people genuinely suffering. That's not, they're choosing to suffer. If they're going to be upset and scream and yell because sanity has returned, because children are going to be treated with love and respect, okay, not introduced to confusion and questioning God's will. If they're going to get upset over that, that is a choice. True suffering is like what Job went through. When things happen to you and you have not done anything, or you suffer because of the evilness of another's doings. So anyway, folks, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And I'll be broadcasting again soon. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And as I said, I have a buy me a coffee link in the description. And anybody who kicks into that, make sure I put your name up, and thank you all very much. And I'll be broadcasting soon. You all have a great night. Keep your chins up. Enjoy life. The best is yet to come. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.